Welcome to the AI Hub, a podcast for AI-driven side hustles designed for IT professionals like you.
From cutting-edge AI tools to practical, no-nonsense tips, each episode brings you closer to turning tech into income.
Tune in to discover smart and sustainable ways to boost your career and income with AI.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to AI Hub. I'm Larry.
And I'm Amanda.
So today we're going to be diving deep into this essay by Sam Altman.
OpenAI's CEO.
Yeah, exactly. And he's tackling like this huge question about AI. Will it be this force for good for everybody? Or will it, kind of make the divides that we see even worse?
Yeah, it's a really interesting read. He's got this optimistic view of the future where he thinks AI could solve some of the biggest problems that we have across every field.
That's pretty wild. He's talking millions of these super powerful AI systems just working away, curing diseases to finally figuring out how to fold a fitted sheet.
Right. And as cool as that sounds, it also makes you wonder, is that even possible? And what about, all the bad things that could happen? Even Altman himself says there's a chance that AI could just make the gap between the haves and have-nots even bigger, especially when you think about who gets to control these systems.
That's a big one. And then he brings up this idea of a compute budget. So we'd be dividing up access to these powerful AI resources almost like it's a limited thing.
Yeah, that's a unique idea for sure. But it brings up a lot of questions, who decides how this budget gets split up? Is it governments, tech companies? Do regular people have any say at all? And how do you even define what fair access means when AI is changing all the time?
Totally. And, it all ties back to that fear of inequality that's already out there. We're already seeing how AI is changing the way we work.
Absolutely. Some jobs are being automated already.
And some experts are saying we could see massive unemployment if we don't adapt.
It makes you think, what happens to those people whose jobs are affected by AI?
We rely on it more and more every day, even in our personal lives.
Exactly.
So how do we make sure that everyone benefits from AI, not just a small group?
Exactly.
It's this constant back and forth between, is it becoming more accessible or more exclusive? On one hand, Altman says that using AI is getting cheaper and more accessible. But then you read that OpenAI might spend something like $500 billion on an AI data network.
Whoa.
So is it really becoming more accessible, or is it actually becoming more exclusive?
It's a good point. It shows that while using AI at a certain level might be getting cheaper, building the really advanced AI still needs a ton of money and resources.
Yeah.
Which could mean that only the people and companies with the most money will control it.
And speaking of shifts and changes, it's interesting to see how OpenAI itself has changed over time. They started as a nonprofit that was all about sharing their work openly.
Yeah.
But now they're moving towards a more traditional for-profit model.
Yeah, and that's caused a lot of debate. Some people say that moving away from open sourcing could actually make AI less accessible, especially for people and groups that can't compete with the big tech companies.
Right. And especially since Altman says the cost of using a certain level of AI is dropping fast. Wouldn't it make sense to make it open source so everyone can benefit? But it seems like they're changing direction for a reason.
For sure. It makes you wonder if their priorities have shifted from spreading AI to just reaching their main goal.
And what is that goal?
Developing AGI, artificial general intelligence. And this is where things get really interesting.
AGI. Now that's something we could talk about for hours.
It's basically AI that can solve problems as well as humans can. Or even better, across a ton of different areas. Altman believes we're getting close to achieving AGI, and when we do, it's going to be mind-blowing.
Imagine AI that can tackle problems we haven't even thought of yet.
Right.
It can change everything from healthcare to energy to how we govern ourselves.
Yeah.
But it also raises questions about the future of work, how wealth is distributed, even what it means to be human.
Definitely. It's like stepping into the unknown. It's exciting and a little scary at the same time.
And to add to that feeling of unease, Altman gives this kind of cryptic warning about potential unpopular decisions they might have to make relating to AGI safety. It sounds like he's preparing us for some restrictions or limitations on who gets to use this powerful technology.
Yeah, it is a little ominous. It makes you wonder what kind of decisions he's talking about. Could they be thinking about controlling who has access to AGI, even if it's for safety reasons?
It's a good point, because on one hand, he's all about giving people more control over AI, but then he's also suggesting that some level of control might be necessary to keep everyone safe. It's a tricky balance.
It is. It highlights this tension between giving people freedom and making sure AI is used safely. It's like he's saying that there are dangers to letting AI develop without any rules, while also wanting people to have more control over how they use it.
It's a tough situation.
Yeah.
And it's not just theoretical either. We're seeing this debate happen right now with things like facial recognition and autonomous weapons.
Definitely.
The potential for misuse is real, and it's forcing us to think about some really tough ethical questions.
It's a conversation that needs to happen, and it's only going to get more urgent as AI gets more advanced. We need to be thinking about the ethical implications now before it's too late to change course.
Absolutely. This isn't just about technology. It's about what kind of future we want. Do we want a future where AI helps everyone? Or a future where it's used to control people? These are the questions we should be asking ourselves right now.
I agree. And it can feel overwhelming trying to understand all of this, but it's important that we don't just sit back and let it happen. We need to be involved in shaping the future we want.
Well said. And I think that's a perfect way to transition into the next part of our deep dive.
Definitely. Let's look more closely at this tension between giving people control and the need for safety, especially when it comes to AGI.
Because if AGI really is as powerful as Altman says, who gets to use that power?
Exactly.
And how do we make sure it's used responsibly?
Those are the million-dollar questions.
And we're going to unpack them right now. We don't do breaks here on AI Hub. So stick with us as we go even deeper into this fascinating topic.
It's like we're giving someone the keys to like the most powerful engine ever, but we haven't even figured out the rules of the road yet.
Yeah. And that's where this whole thing about unpopular decisions gets really interesting. Altman's admitting that to keep things safe, they might have to make some tough choices.
Right. Choices that not everyone's going to be happy with.
It's like saying, okay, with great power comes great responsibility.
Exactly.
And part of that responsibility might mean setting limits, even if people don't like it.
Yeah, think about it.
If AGI gets to the point where it can solve problems that are way beyond what humans can even understand, do we really want to give everyone unlimited access to that kind of power?
That's the big question, isn't it? Do we prioritize making sure everyone has access to this amazing technology? Or do we focus on safety and control, knowing that even good intentions can go wrong?
It's like that classic dilemma, freedom versus security, but on a scale we've never seen before.
And it's not just a hypothetical problem either. We're already seeing this play out with things like facial recognition and autonomous weapons.
Right.
There are real worries about them being used for bad things like surveillance, oppression, even
And it's making us face some serious ethical questions.
For sure.
Questions about bias, about privacy, about who's accountable. How do we make sure that these super powerful AI systems are used ethically and responsibly?
It's a challenge that's going to take a lot of careful thought collaboration and probably some tough compromises along the way.
And it's not something the tech industry can figure out on its own. It's a conversation that needs to include governments, policymakers, people who study ethics, and most importantly, the public.
Absolutely. Everyone's got a stake in the future of AI, so everyone needs to be part of the conversation. We need to be asking tough questions, demanding transparency, and holding those in power accountable.
It can be overwhelming to try and understand all of this.
Right.
But we can't just sit back and let things happen. We need to be active in shaping the future we want.
I think that's so important. We're not just watching this technological revolution happen. We can influence how AI is developed and used, and that starts with being informed and engaged.
Exactly. So what can you do to make a difference? Start by learning more about AI, about its potential benefits and risks. There are tons of resources out there, articles, podcasts, books. Talk to your friends, family, colleagues.
Share your thoughts, your worries, your ideas. Support groups that are working to make sure AI is developed ethically. And don't be afraid to question things, to demand better from the people building and using these powerful systems.
This isn't just about some random technology changing on its own. This is about the future of our society, about the world we want to live in. The choices we make today will have a huge impact on generations to come.
It's a big task, but it's also really empowering. We have the chance to shape this technology, to use it to create a better future for everyone. That's a responsibility we shouldn't take lightly.
Well said. And I think that perfectly captures what Altman's trying to say in his essay. It's not about doom and gloom. It's a call to action, a call to get involved, to participate, to shape the future of AI.
Yeah, it's about recognizing that we're not just along for the ride. We're the ones in control, and we have the power to choose where we're going.
So let's dig a little deeper in some of the specific points Altman makes about how to navigate this whole situation.
Okay.
Let's unpack this tension he talks about between giving individuals power and the need for control. Because as we've been saying, He seems to be advocating for both, which seems kind of contradictory.
Right.
He talks about this idea of trending towards individual empowerment with AI.
Yeah.
Like he wants to give people more control over how they use it.
Okay.
But then he also drops this bomb about potentially making unpopular decisions for AGI safety, which suggests some level of restriction or control.
Right.
It's almost like he's saying, hey, we want to empower you, but we also might have to take away some of that power if we think you could do something dangerous with it.
It's a tough one for sure. And it brings up the question of trust, you know? If we're going to let a small group control these crazy, powerful AI systems, how can we be sure they'll do what's best for everyone?
And who decides what best even means? There's a bunch of tech people, government folks.
Yeah.
Do we need like some global agreement on AI ethics and rules? I mean, this is all brand new territory.
These are the exact questions we need to be talking about right now. The decisions we make today are going to have a huge impact on the future. It's not an exaggeration to say that.
It's heavy stuff, but it's also pretty exciting. We're not just talking about some tech upgrade here. We're talking about tools that could totally change society. Think about how much the internet changed things and then multiply that by like 1,000.
Yeah, it's mind-blowing. And that's exactly why these conversations are so important. We need to go beyond just the technical stuff and really think about what AI means for society. What kind of world do we want? And how can we use AI to help build that world?
One thing that really hit me in Altman's essay is that there's no easy answer. There's no one solution that's going to magically fix all the problems. There's going to be trade-offs, compromises, and some really tough choices to make.
It shows just how complex this whole thing is. We need to be open to different ideas, be willing to question what we think we know, and be ready to adapt as AI keeps changing. It's not like a simple problem with a simple answer.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Altman's vision, I think the big takeaway is this. Yeah, there's some huge challenges ahead, but there are also some amazing opportunities.
We're not just along for the ride. We have the power to shape the future of AI. It's not something that's happening to us. It's something we're all creating together, whether we realize it or not.
That's both exciting and kind of scary, right? To think that we have that much influence over something so powerful.
But I think it's more exciting than scary. It means we can help make AI a force for good, a tool for progress, a source of hope for everyone, not just a select few.
I love that. And on that note, I want to thank everyone for joining us for another deep dive into the world of AI. Remember, the future isn't set in stone. It's being shaped right now by the choices we make, the conversations we have, and the actions we take.
It's a future we're all creating together. So let's make it one we can be proud of.
And if you want to keep exploring these fascinating questions with us, make sure you subscribe to AI Hub for more deep dives, expert insights, and thought-provoking discussions about the future of AI. We'll be back soon with another episode. So until then, stay curious, keep learning, and let's keep shaping the future together.
Welcome to the AI Hub, a podcast for AI-driven side hustles designed for IT professionals like you.
From cutting-edge AI tools to practical, no-nonsense tips, each episode brings you closer to turning tech into income.
Tune in to discover smart and sustainable ways to boost your career and income with AI.